Hello, my name is Mike Ciccone. I'm a Hudson Valley artist. I live in Saugerties, New York. 469 GLASCO Turnpike is where I have my home studio. I'm a graduate of Bard College in '93 and met a man called Jake Grossberg who introduced me to steel in '87. Let's just say I was never able to put the torch down. 20 some odd years later, 5 or so, I'm still making art. I've expanded outside of steel. My medium is getting much larger. Pretty much I'll try to make anything work within creating my line. I've been very involved in the figurative lately. I'm going to say more involved since probably around 2010. So let me start with my drawings. Even though they were later in my career, it's something recent that I've been doing. I started doing these gestural drawings with black ink and a brush pen. And you could see those over here, okay? An example, a rough example. But, and then one day I told my professor at Bard a few months back, maybe about a year ago or so, 8 months, I told him that I came into Woodstock and I bought a bamboo pen. And I adjusted it and I made a pen on the top side as well. And he, in turn, gave me 2 bamboo shoots at about 7-8 feet long. So I kind of went a little crazy making bamboo pens, different styles, thicknesses. So I developed these tiny little gestural drawings. And I started with the black India ink with the pen on discarded pieces of photography board, like matting board. So I did a few hundred drawings of them. Quick gestures. I actually do them like a computer readout. I just don't do one drawing at a time in these little cards. I do all the drawings sort of almost simultaneously. I start with one line per figure. I work my way all the way across the board, and then I work my way back across the board the other way. So after 6 passes, right to left, left to right, right to left, left to right, I'm done. And I've developed these gestural drawings that are all individual in and of themselves, no matter how many hundreds or thousands I may produce. Now from these little drawings, gestural drawings, I started doing these larger pieces with the bamboo pen. Again, just gestural drawings, nothing, totally asexual. I just want to get a movement, a feeling, is all I'm trying to accomplish. Nothing more, nothing less. And then I started doing them as well with the little white pen. Just a white pen I bought at the store. And I started drawing on the black boards. Same approach, same procedure. I figured black on white, why not have white on black? It's a good contrast to one another, especially during an installation. They've been deeming to be fairly successful, and they've already seen a few shows. People seem to express genuine interest in them. So that's what those drawings are about. And plus they're incredibly fun, and they help me think, and I realize that I've been thinking like this for a very, very long time. And I've been thinking like this in regards to my sculpture as well. So let's talk about my sculpture a little bit. As I said before, it was primarily steel in '87. Now don't get me wrong, I didn't start making art in 1987. I started making art when I was about 4 years old. The oldest piece that I have in that collection is a piece I made when I was in 4th grade. And that's this tiny little wood-carved abstract whale I did. I get a lot of visitors in my studio, and whenever somebody asks me how long I've been making art, I tell them. And then they kind of look at me a little crazy, and then I'll reach over and I'll pick up this little piece of sculpture, and I'll get a few giggles and chuckles, and it's, you know, it makes it a reality for them, and it's fun for me as well. So aside from stealing my sister's modeling clay at a very young age, I also had an interest in making art out of just about anything I laid my hands on. So that being said, as a young adult, after Bard, once me and the wife purchased the house on GLASCO, 469 GLASCO Turnpike, where now I have my home studio. It was primarily steel, then it branched out into bluestone. Then I started carving the bluestone. Then I started picking up plastic. Then I started picking up just about anything I could find that I thought can relate to the line that I was trying to establish. I love to use old steel, reconditioned steel, the dimplier the better, historical steel, historical wood. So I try to incorporate those items into my sculptures. I also incorporate items that I demo out. I'm also a New York State laborer. And the piece all the way to the left is a carved representation of a figure of a man that I worked with on a job that I respect highly. And that all revolved around his left eye. And if you can get a shot of that left eye, I think that the viewers can understand what I'm talking about. But I like to use the tools at hand. I like to use the materials at hand. I like to use what's available to make my art. This piece here was cut from the walkway over the Hudson. I was the lead cutter on that job. I took that steel, I made an abstract sculpture of a locomotive. I'm currently trying to place back at the bridge. If you can get a close-up of this here. Walkway sculpture, wordpress.com is where you can find all the information about that sculpture, because me and my committee are still taking gifts, we'll say, for this cause. So having been on that walkway job gave me the opportunity to ask the permission and to get the steel that I needed to produce this piece of sculpture that I knew I was going to make the first time I walked over the bridge. So these pieces here is slag that I used from steel I was cutting in my studio. I realized I can carve the slag into a figure, abstract as it might be. So that's how I approached that. This piece here is hand forged on a forge that my mentor, Jake Grossberg, gave me from a forge that he built in the 50s. I currently use his old tools, or second generation sculptor tools, first generation depression tools. So there's a lot of continuity in the objects and the actual tools that I make, that I use to produce my sculptures. So yeah, I think that's just about it. Oh, that piece, the black piece, obviously African influence, but it's my first real attempt outside of this one for wood carving. But I burnt the wood. I carved the rock. I rough cut the wood, but I burnt it. And you see all the hippie and everything? That's soft wood that I molded with my fingertips and to get that type of texture. So when it's all said and done, I like to use just about any kind of thing I can get my hands on and make art.